What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 short squeeze stocks that you need to add to your watch list for the rest of this week. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So we do have a couple big data points the rest of this week, such as GDP and also PCE. So that is coming out Thursday and Friday. That could really push the market to the next level higher. And a lot of these stocks I'm going to be going over already do have some pretty good pre-existing momentum. And plus, in many of the cases, shorts are rather overextended. So without further ado, let's get right to it. And as well, not in any particular order, but starting off, ticker is QS, sitting at 567. Over the last 1 year, it is down 12.53%. But over the last 5 days, it is up 29.64. So definitely a lot of good pre-existing momentum. This is the seasonality. So for July, over the last 4 years, it does on average go up 25.5%. So that is something, again, I've mentioned in previous videos I wanted to kind of bring up. But you do with all that information what you will. We're about to head into July, so that might be something, again, just to keep in mind. But this is a company profile in case you are curious. So it is based out of San Jose in the States. But currently 16.28% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 68.8 million shares overall being shorted. Shorts increased 2.88 million shares on Wednesday. Cost to borrow average is kind of low, 1.04%, and then short score is 79.13. One thing I do want to bring up is the DTC. So the higher the number, the higher the magnitude, I guess, if you want to call it that, a squeeze would occur. So that is directly based on the average daily volume. So it goes to show again that shorts are rather overextended. So the higher the DTC, the higher kind of the more they are overextended. I'm not really going to bring up a lot of this information on every single case, so feel free to pause it and go through it. But one thing I do want to bring up though is there is through IBKR 2.2 million shares available to be shorted. So in some cases you could see some big institutions, BlackRock, Vanguard, and so forth, buying these stocks just to lend out. A very profitable business for them. I don't really see it happening in this case, only because 2.2 million is kind of sufficient and cost to borrow is kind of low, so it's not really beneficial to them. But again, in some cases, it could work out. So let me know your thoughts on that. And if you do own any of these stocks, give yourself a shout out in the comments below. Moving on to the next one, ticker is SRFM, sitting at 254. So it did go down 29.44 on Wednesday. After hours, it's kind of pushing higher, another 8.27. Over the last 1 year, it is up 24.34%. And then over the last 5 days, despite today's pullback, it is still up 23%. So pretty good stuff, a lot of good pre-existing momentum. This is the company profile, so passenger airlines, 654 employees, but 16.74% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 1.87 million shares. And you can kind of see on Wednesday, shorts increased to roughly 180,000 shares. Cost to borrow average 13.91, and then short score is 73.66. Through IBKR, there is roughly around 4,000 shares available to be shorted, and cost to borrow through IBKR is 9.74. So you might see some buying coming from big money this upcoming week. So again, something to kind of keep in mind. Moving on to the next one, I brought this one up quite a lot during my pre-market, and that is Wheeler Real Estate Investment Trust. Ticker is WHLR, sitting at 703. Over the last 1 month, it is up 24.31%, so a lot of good pre-existing momentum. I do want to add a little bit of a asterisk to this, only because over the last 1 year it is down 99.95%, so kind of horrific. But you do get a lot of spikes up, so a lot of momentum runs, and regrettably a lot of that is linked to the convertible debt products that they have relied on, which is largely why they're down 99.95%. But we're not here because of that. Ultimately, June does on average go up 9.3%, July down 6.1%. That is over the last 10 years on average. So again, something to keep in mind. This is a company profile for those of you that are interested, but 35.55% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 169,000 shares. So this hands down is exactly why you're seeing a lot of influencers bring this stock up, because it does kind of meet the criteria of a squeeze. Very heavily shorted, low float, and there you have it. Cost to borrow average is 832.87%. On a side note, that is a annual rate, not a daily rate, so that'd be crazy if that was a daily rate. But short score is 80.93, and then through IBKR it does indicate roughly 700 shares is available. So this one definitely should be seeing some buying coming from big money. So again, adding a certain level of buying pressure. Moving on to the next one, ticker is KWE. Over the last 1 year, it is down 92.34%. Side note, there's a lot of good information here, such as market cap, average volume, and so forth. But over the last 1 month, it is up 40.86%. So a lot of good momentum for that one. This is the company profile. So aerospace and defense, 30 employees, founded in 2017. But 32.1% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 163,000 shares. As I mentioned with the last stock, meets that criteria. Heavily shorted, low float. Cost to borrow average is 393%. Short score is 81.27, and then through IBKR does indicate 1,000 shares is available. So pretty much copy and paste to Wheeler, so you will be seeing a lot of buying most likely over the next couple of trading days, as big money will buy it just to lend out. So again, this is another one to add to your watch list. And then last but not least, we do have ticker CURR, and so that is sitting at 60 cents, and over the last looks like it's been trading less than a year, so it doesn't have the information. Year to date though, down 66.81. Over the last 1 month, it is up 8.68%, and then over the last 5 days up 62.65%. Of course, with it trading less than a year, seasonality isn't available, but this is what they do. So transaction and payment processing services, 244 employees based out of Singapore, which is rather odd because that sector has been really booming. So for it to be down 66% over the last, or I guess year to date, isn't all that great. But 11.94% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 1.64 million shares. Cost to borrow average is fairly high, 106.86%. Short score is 80.04, and then through IBKR, it does indicate 30,000 shares is available. So this one, most likely you could be seeing some buying. So let me know your thoughts on these stocks. Is there any other stocks that's kind of floating your boat that you feel is kind of a squeeze play? And yeah, so throw some tickers in the description below. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.